Okay, you know what, chat? I should wear a blazer. I should look information. Good afternoon, professors and fellow students. Today we are going to be breaking down a quick little PowerPoint presentation with regards to our favorite game, Etheria Restart, right? So as of this current moment, I do believe that many of us have experienced a tremendous joy, comfort, happiness. What the fuck? Oh my gosh, she's naked. So we do have a couple of holy mistranslations that members of my community, specifically my favorite mod Lens, one of my favorite mods, right? He has compiled all of these mistranslations that are in-game, which may or may not lead to players' expectations of Etheria Restart getting affected for better or for worse, right? So let's just jump into a couple of these examples over here. So as you can see over here, for Mio S2, for Mio S2, we do have ourselves the wound or anti-heal wording being a little bit different over here, right? So we see here, Ice Cage, 65% chance for a 2-turn anti-heal, but the wording in the actual combat is not anti-heal, it is going to be wound. Now, to my understanding, this is gonna be a common occurrence for a lot of the EN translations because their localization team from CN to EN, with all due respect, is completely and utterly they could do better. They could do better, right? So this is gonna be a pretty interesting wording. Nothing too significant though, because both of them basically mean the same thing, but just a little bit more consistency will be very nice because the word here is wound. The word here is literally wound. So I don't know why this is gonna be called anti-heal over here, right? So that's gonna be that for Mio's S2. Another example, Celince. Also a little bit more of a wording problem, but based on this description on the level 5 healing beast, this is applies a aqua shield equal to 12% max HP, but the actual wording of the buff in combat, okay, gamersubs.com, use code POKE for 10% off, right? Quick little ad break, right? Use 10% off for code POKE, right? Very, very good. Rain curtain is actually the word over here, which is gonna be differing from aqua shield, right? And like I mentioned, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really change too much because the effect is more or less the same. It's just that the wording is gonna be a little bit of a difference. And if this was to happen in, like, you know, the bigger titles, it would definitely not be too nice, right? But so far so good, because for the most part they are basically just wording mistranslations. For the next couple though, is gonna be a little bit sassy. So for Freya, if you take a look at what this thingy says, Dreamguide effect is doubled when Freya is inflicted with a debuff, right? You can see this is from Freya's basic, which is part of like her core mechanics. Whenever you get a buff or whatever they get a debuff, you get a chance to increase your action meter, right? The buff is 100%, and then the debuff is going to be 7%, right? 4%, 4%. And then this specific line over here, the Dreamguide effect is doubled when Freya gains a buff or is afflicted with a debuff. Now, I'm not too sure if this has been in place. Feel free to let me know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there may be a little bit of a coding error here with regards specific towards the second line. As I go down more and more and more in the following examples, the impact of these mistranslations are gonna become even more severe to the point where we are gonna be seeing things like potentially, you know, hot fixes, right? Hot fixes happening to a game coming near you. Alright, next is gonna be Rahu. If you take a look into this over here, Rahu's mechanic is based on this Wrath, right? You gain Wrath, which helps you deal more damage because of his defense scaling. If you look over here, consumes one more stack of Wrath from the assist ally to transfer the debuff, and then this is gonna be the effects of the actual Wrath itself, right? Because, you know, the more defense you have, the more damage you're gonna be doing. And also over this, after an ally attacks, you also have a 50% chance to assist, consuming one stack of Wrath. So does this mean that Wrath is going to be consumed on ally units, which is a little bit weird? For me personally, I'm not a Rahu main. I've never really played Rahu before, but maybe more Rahu users could shed some light into what exactly this mechanic is going to be functioning, because from my understanding, this is probably not going to be too good because you are essentially losing the stacks they are going to be getting. The next light. This is fucked. I don't know what happened to Hoyan. Sis became a defense scaling DPS. Right, this is a Hoyan's ultimate, which is the unit that got like fixed and changed, and like her kit differed from like the beta kit by like such a large margin from the S2 and S3. Now apparently the ultimate scales with defense. But in reality, the actual combat, right, like I mentioned, these are all mistranslations. These are all mistranslations. It's not the actual intended game effects, which is why this is like so fucking confusing, because this shit says defense, but in reality, she is still playing the way she's playing. But I just don't really understand how the mistranslations are gonna be occurring, because I don't know how the hell do you confuse defense with like attack. A little bit weird. And then this is Valerian. Hazy Dream only heals Valerian. This is actually a pretty big one, guys, right? So if you take a look into the Hazy Dream effect, right, blah 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 blah. So when you are about to die, when an ally is about to die, Valerian is healed for 20% of her max HP and ends Hazy Dream. In the CN translated text, this is a little bit strange, because the way that this is gonna be working, from what I gather, she sort of acts as like a guardian angel, right? So her whole mechanic with the whole S3 is the guardian angel, and if you are gonna die, you don't die, and then you get a little bit of the health boost back. But apparently in the English version, it is only healing Valerian. You know, it's just not accurate, right? It's just not accurate. It is what it is. And then this is the Revelation combat buff, which I don't know how the fuck this differs by this much, because this is probably one of the biggest bug thingies that's been happening in the game right now, which me personally, I think is probably gonna get fixed, at least in PvP, because turn 2 players are just getting absolutely destroyed by 48% true health damage. It's basically a Blade of the Ruined King but on roids, right? So if you take a look at what the shell says, each critical hit dealt blah 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 deals 12% of max HP, cannot exceed 180% attack, right? This is what the shell literally says. If you go into the game right now, and this one honestly impact me the most, so I'm gonna be a little bit. This is literally what the shell says, right? Each critical hit will give you the 12% max HP. But when you actually go into goddamn combat, for some weird reason, the buff in the combat is each critical hit in this turn has a 40% chance to deal the 12% max HP. If this was the real effect, Revelation would be severely nerfed. Severely. Because you are literally taking a guaranteed 12% into a 40% chance to deal 12%. And if you guys know how probably works, you basically take 12% times 0.4, right? So this is effective max HP, statistically speaking, is more closer to like the 5% mark instead of 12%. I hope that people are not going to be too comfortable with Revelation for now, because if this is the real intended effect, this means if we're gonna get another hotfix, if we're gonna get another bug update, Revelation would be fucked. Yep, we will no longer gain the 12% max HP, and all of the Revelation abusers in Doki Doki, such as Messiah, Rosa, as well as Ziada, it's sort of like Wallahi, right? You're literally more than halving the amount of true damage you're gonna be dealing in Doki Doki. Not to mention in PvP, you're probably not gonna see shit like DPS Freya ever again. What I'm guessing, this is the premonition of what's to come. I think that's what's gonna happen. I think eventually in the future, 1 week, 2 week, 1 month, whatever it's gonna be, I think they are going to implement this. I don't even think this is mistranslation anymore. I think they are actually going to implement this in the game. It's just that they haven't fully changed the game coding yet. So this might as well just be leakers from the devs themselves. But just a little bit of a heads up, Revelation most likely is gonna be receiving these nerfs, right? I don't think they are blind to see how turn 2 players are just absolutely getting destroyed. And Doki Doki, you don't even need to use red anymore, you can just clear Inferno. So while you still can use Revelation and clear Inferno, right? At least clear Inferno, even for that one-time clear, right? Because I think after a while, this is not gonna stay, right? And then this one, Doki Doki's backup cleansers, right? So if you guys take a look at how Doki Doki's function works over here, she basically can cleanse any debuff, right? So this is literally how it works, right? It can consume 1 stack to purify your debuff, right? And blah 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 cannot be dispelled. But it's apparently, you can see in this specific slide over here, there are no debuffs. So it's not like she didn't cleanse away the silence. There are literally no debuffs onto Doki Doki. But even after receiving the cleanse, you can't do anything, right? I'm not too sure if this works with like stun and like sleep or whatever the fuck. But at least for silence, this Doki Doki mechanic is not happening, right? So maybe we are probably gonna be getting a fix eventually after a couple of patches, right? So with that, we have come to the end of a couple of holy mistranslations within Etheria Restart. I feel like this is a very educational video because it's not coming from a place of bad faith. It's just like we're catching bugs, right? We're like going around catching bugs. We're doing the jobs so that eventually the game gets fixed and all these kind of things can get updated and it's gonna be better for everybody. So it's quite nice. One last thing before we do bounce off though is just that right now, in Union Wars, if you take a look into this thingy over here, it says that both President and Vice President can take action to remove members' garrison in incorrect positions. Well, for now, this is only limited to the president. So hopefully they can also add this little update for you, because at this point I don't even want to be the president anymore. I gave my president away to my slave, to my trusty guildmate, so that he can actually help us manage the formations. But for now, the only guy that can change the garrison is going to be president over here, right? So with that, we have come to the end of today's content. Let me know if you guys have noticed any other bugs, bug fixes, hotfix, patch update, mistranslation, whatever. Leave down in the comments below for Etheria Restart. I'll see you guys next time. Word of the day is gonna be we're playing League of Legends and watching Heaven's Feel today. Episode Cinema. Thank you, sub code guy. Join, use code Bogey, for 10% off. Join K20, all the best. Yep.